إنسان هذا العصر أهمل روحه ولم يعد في روحه إنسانا هو تائه متخبط متذبذب متردد ولم يزل حيرانا ابعث به روح التقى بتلاوة تستنهض الأرواح والأبدان وأزل هوانا ظل يلزمنا وكل ما نمن لزم الهدى معنا.
Neelain he came by from Minnesota to give us a talk, inshallah, and there's a lot I can say about Uncle Neelain, and the reason why I call him uncle is because him and my father go like very far back. They became Muslim together, and they've done many things together, and I can talk for probably about an hour about all the things that I've heard from him and my father about what they've done. But I think it's enough said. He was a former bodyguard of Muhammad Ali. He has done many styles of martial arts, and my father has a black belt under him. And you know, there's a lot to say, but I think that's enough. And I'll pass it over to him.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Indeed, all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His aid, we seek His protection, and above all, we seek His forgiveness for the evils of our own wicked deeds. Whomsoever Allah guides, none can lead astray, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, none can guide. I bear witness that none has the right to be worshipped except Allah alone, and He has no associates, no partners, no sons and no daughters. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His slave servant and His messenger. And I greet you, my young brothers and sisters, friends and seekers of knowledge, seekers of truth, with the best of greetings of all the prophets from Adam to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that greeting is Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we go into our talk, we first, as we just did, wanted to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this beautiful religion, this way of life. I don't know about you, but I came from a dark past. I was a kafir. Allah made me Muslim, and my family raised me as a kafir. And it was a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He guided me to Islam. So most of the time when I see someone accept Islam, and they're very sincere, and they're overjoyed and they're crying, I'm crying with them, because I understand what they're about to receive. Because the day I took my shahada, I cried. I finally found who the Creator was. I finally found out who His messenger was, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I was very thankful that God guided me away from Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. So you who are Muslim, born and raised Muslims, you should be very thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So sometimes it takes a revert to Islam. I said a revert, not a convert. We are reverts. We are coming back to the natural order, the natural disposition. We who was born Muslim and raised Kafirs, and we return to this religion. Sometimes it takes us, one of us, to remind you who was born Muslim, raised Muslim, get Islam right from your mother's breast. Her breast milk had Islam in it. Your food had Islam in it. Because everything they was teaching you was from the tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we hope. So sometimes we have to wake you up and rejuvenate you by having someone that was a revert that came to Islam. Also, we'd like to thank the organizers for helping with this event. And we pray that it be barakahs and it help us on the day that we will need it when we all stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this talk is just a short reminder. And we hope that it will be beneficial, because we don't have time to waste each other's time. These are the days that we really have to benefit from each other. I'm also with an organization called the Canadian Dawah Association. I joined them in Medina, the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I became part of them. And the Canadian Dawah Association, I'm one of the special advisors to it. They have sent to Mecca and Medina on Hajj. They sponsor trips, and some of the people they have sent there to make Hajj is such as David Chappelle, who took his Shahada. He's a new Shahada. Loon, most of you young brothers, you know, you heard of Loon. I'm looking at one, he's smiling. I'm not going to look at him, he got on glasses. But anyway, Loon, who was of Bad Boy Records. And also we had such as Freeway of Philadelphia. I know them personally. And also we know the brother Napoleon. Him and I have done talks together, trying to save the Muslim youth. Our objective of the Canadian Dawah Association is to give dawah according to the methodology of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we're not giving dawah according to the way Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doing it, then how are we giving dawah? We can't give dawah the way we think it should be. There's a formula and format that's already been set. All we have to do is take the information like a mailman and deliver the message. We're not worried about the outcome. We're not concerned about the outcome. That's not the objective of Islam. We are only to deliver the message. Allah makes us Muslim. Alhamdulillah. And not just in Canada, in different parts of the United States and the UK. I've traveled to Canada, I've been in Saudi Arabia, and trust me, they needed dawah. I had a translator. We had some of the youth there wearing some of the most weirdest looking clothes I ever seen in Medina, Saudi Arabia. And on some of the walls, written Tupac. His name is in Medina on the walls in Medina. Astaghfirullah Azim. But we had a way that we dealt with them in Medina when I was there. Abu Bakr's brother, Abdullah, when they would drive past in their cars, you know, they want to bump music. Y'all know what bumping music is. And they want to be bumping music in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're not having it. And what we would do, the car would come past and the young boys be in it. You know, there's a lot of rocks there in Medina, a lot of stones. We would either rush them and everybody start punching the car, and that car would take off. So that's what we one day hope, that if this country becomes Islamic, we can stop all that wild music. But until that time, we have to be patient. I'm originally from New York, where I was born and raised. And in 1969, I joined an organization called the Nation of Islam. How many heard the Nation of Islam? And how many heard of Farrakhan? Well, I used to do bodyguard work for Minister Farrakhan. I was a lieutenant in the Nation of Islam. My job was to train people known as the FOI, the Fruit of Islam, as they call themselves. I was with the original Nation of Islam. This new thing that they have, I don't know much about it like I used to. But in 1975, I took my Shahada, alhamdulillah, under the late Imam Neelain Muhammad in Allah wa ilayhi raji'un. He took the largest contingent of Muslims in 1979 to Hajj from this country. And he took a whole movement that was following Elijah Muhammad, his father, to saying, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So may Allah, give him the best of Jannah and forgive him for his mistakes. And also, I learned true Islam. It was taught by me by Sheikh Khalid Amin, my sheikh, that taught me Abu Bakr's father. We grew up together. We was in the Nation of Islam, and when 1975 came, I asked him, we were selling papers, he was the captain. And I said, which direction should we go in? He said, I'm going to follow this new leadership and see where it leads. And eventually, it led him to go overseas, and I had the same opportunity, but I didn't go. So I passed party. He went and studied overseas. He's been going back for the last 20 or 30 years, and he lives in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make dua for him and his mother, him and Abu Bakr's father and mother, who should call it. And so I know his son very well. We won't go into that. Abu Bakr, I know him very well when he was just a baby, and Harun I know very well when they was just babies. MashaAllah. This is my son. My son and them, they used to bathe together as little children. Oh, I went too far. So with that said, let's begin our topic. Our talk tonight will be brief, but I want you to really listen, because we hope that it be beneficial to us. And I hope I have the right minds here. Minds that say, you know what, we need to act on some of the information that the brother gave us, inshallah. So we want to go to Surah Hujurat. That's Surah number 49:13. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and female, and made you into nations and tribes, that ye may know each other, not despise each other. Verily, the most honor of you in the sight of Allah is he who is most righteous, and most righteous of you, and Allah has full knowledge and is well acquainted with all things. So keep in mind what Allah says. He made us a nation and tribe, not to hate one another, not to despise one another, not to talk about each other, not to be separate from each other. So our topic is our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth. Our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth. This talk is only a reminder for myself and for you, my brothers and sisters in Islam. Our collective responsibility to save our Muslim youth. What do I mean? Our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth. I mean the responsibility of every Muslim who love Allah and love his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth. What do collective responsibility mean? By definition, it means responsibility of every member of the group without regard to status, rank, or position. Then you might ask, what are we trying to save our Muslim youth from? We are trying to save our Muslim youth from shaitan and shaitanic influences. This is the objective of the Muslim, is to fight and struggle in jihad against his own nafs and also against the shaitanic influences. Why? Because shaitan is a taxidermist. Now, some of you, how many of you go to college here? Universities. So I'm speaking to the intellectual group here, I hope. How old are you, young brother? 18. So you might have to go look up this word, but I will give you some hint what it means. Shaitan is a taxidermist. What is a taxidermist? A taxidermist is one who works in the act of mounting reproductions of once alive creatures for display, such as hunting trophies. You see them at the museum. A lifelike tiger, a lifelike bear, a lifelike wolf, a lifelike elephant, a lifelike bird. That's done by what we call a taxidermist. Now everyone understand what a taxidermist is. Everybody understand now, right? How many of you ever been to a museum? How many ever seen a bear standing like this? Alright? Little kids, you've seen a vicious tiger, he's like this. But my little grandson, he'll see him, oh, I'm not afraid of him. Why? Because he's dead. There's nothing inside of him. So he looked ferocious, but he's dead. And we as Muslims should know, ever since Iblis was put out of Jannah because of his refusal to obey the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bow to Adam alayhi salam, his aim is to destroy the children of Adam alayhi salam. Shaitan became a taxidermist. If you don't believe this, look at the Muslim youth as a whole. Not some of the Muslim youth, as a whole. The whole Muslim youth. They look like Muslims. Some of them wear kufis. Some of them wear kameez above their ankle bone. Some of them wear beards. Some of them even say Assalamu alaikum. And some of them will say Wa alaikum assalam. But the reality, most of our youth, character and action has been stripped out of them. And there is little or no iman or taqwa or shyness. And this is male as well as female. Because shaitan, the taxidermist, has stripped them of the taqwa, the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now most of our Muslim youth are like the tiger that's mounted and stuffed, that bear at the museum, that wolf at the museum on display. They look alive, they look like they can attack, but they are just on display. This is why our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth, not only save them, but we must once again empower our Muslim youth. What do I mean by empower them? The word empower means to give or delegate responsibility, to give power or authority, to authorize, to give ability, to enable, permit. This is the era we really need to work on, dear Muslim brothers and sisters. We need to work on by educating our youth of their future role in the Islamic community and preparing them for it. The world at large. We need to send some of our youth to study overseas, such as the University of Medina or other parts of the world, to sit under noted scholars in the Islamic world. Because some of us here, we're sitting under certain teachers and they might not have the right knowledge. This is a fact. And we have to make sure they're sitting under scholars that have the right aqidah. Because if they don't, they're going to make a lot of mistakes. So we need to send our youth and have them to study Islam. This is part of our collective responsibility, to give leadership roles to them when they are trained and ready. There's an African proverb that states, it takes a man and a woman to make a child, but it takes a whole village to raise him. Let's say that again. There's an African proverb that states, it takes a man and woman to make a child, but it takes a whole village to raise him. So this is wisdom, that it takes a collective effort. And this is where the responsibility of collective leadership comes in to save and empower our Muslim youth. We have to come together as leaders and imams and as business people and educators, as parents and teachers, as common folks, as common Muslims. It's a shame, and I say it again, it's a shame on us as Muslims that criminals are better examples than we are. Brother, what do you mean criminals are better examples? It's a shame that criminals have a better attitude for the collective unity than us as Muslims. The criminal can see the need to come together for the benefit to commit bigger crimes. Also, there are legal entities, large corporations. They see they can't survive any longer on their own, so they resort to what is called in business merger. How many ever heard this term, merge? Yeah. My major was accounting. I didn't do too well at it. I got a C in it. I said, this is not for me. But I did learn about some terms. Merge. M-E-R-G. Merge means to combine, blend, unite gradually so as to blur the individuality or individual identity unto a single unit. Let me say that one more time. Merge means to combine, blend, unite gradually as to blur the individuality or individual identity into a single unit. This is a lesson for us as leaders. If we would merge ourselves as leaders and forget I'm the leader of this, I'm the leader of that. But if we was to merge ourselves as leaders under the umbrella of collective leadership, look at what we could accomplish. We would not only survive, we would thrive. We would not only survive, we would thrive. And our expectation, and our own expectation, above our own expectation. What did our beloved Prophet Muhammad do? Did he not join the tribes? Did not he join the clans? Did not he join the different communities and fuse, F-U-S-E, fuse them together? Was not this his legacy? Well, I live in Minnesota, and there they have 200,000 Muslims from Somalia and some from East Africa and Oromo. And I'm going to tell you, and I don't care what you think, they are not united. If 200,000 Muslims from Somalia that's in Minnesota was to come together under the umbrella of collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth would change overnight. We have only one Muslim school in the whole of Minnesota. It's called Al-Amma, and I'm one of the instructors there. And I counsel the youth and I teach martial arts. But when they come to my martial art class, it's quite different. Yeah, I'm their sensei, all right. I got a stick and I got the Quran. And I'm telling them the hadith. I'm giving them a verse from the Quran. I'm seeking to give them the tafsir of it. And they're training. And they got a philosophy, an Islamic philosophy. So they're getting the discipline. So this is what our beloved Prophet ﷺ did. He fused together the tribes, the clans, and the community. And was not this his legacy? In doing this, he gave us political power. From bringing the tribes of Mecca, the Quraysh, and the different tribes together, the Prophet ﷺ gave them political power. He gave us a collective voice, political power and a collective voice. He gave us collective respect. We have to follow his example if we want to be successful. He took all the clans and brought them together. And by the way, the people back then are not like us who are tribalists. They would pride to say what tribe they was from, and they would walk to the Rasulullah ﷺ, I'm the leader of this clan, I'm the leader of this tribe, and shake his hand and take their shahada. Today you ask a brother what tribe he's from, he says, brother, you don't ask questions like that. And look around like this. Stuff of Lazim. Because we don't have, or if we continue this path, or we can continue being fragments. Fragments. The Muslims are in fragments. And we will always be like this, and we will always be on the defense because we don't have an offense. We will never get respect or save and empower our Muslim youth this way. And we will fail in our collective responsibility to save our Muslim youth. Dear brothers and sisters, our youth are exposed to a toxic environment that is deadly to Islamic life, such as dating, mixing of the sexes, homosexuality, lesbianism. And they have some websites you go on the screen, they got Muslims talking about they're lesbians. A'udhu billah. Muslims saying he's homosexual. A'udhu billah. This is the toxic environment that has affected the Ummah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Toxic music and rap. Some of us are deep into that. Some of the young boys come here rocking Kufi today, got on his kameez, but when he leave here, he got his hat H-do straight. And trying to walk like Bubba. Well, I'm the real Bubba. I'm the real G. And I left that life to come to this life. Because this is the real life, Islam. The dress and the style is toxic. Gang banging life. Drugs, jails, and prison. And by the way, many Muslims are in prison for hideous crimes. In Minnesota, I have went and seen Muslims laying in the street dead. Myself. What was they dead from? A gunshot. From who? Another Muslim. A'udhu billah. 3 Muslims got killed in a store. By who? Muslims. They went in the store, robbed the little store, killed the brother, shot the other one, and then the man that came in, he was a Romo. He just came in to buy a phone card to call his wife in Africa because she was pregnant and he was newly married and he lives in this country. He's working to send out money. Came to buy milk and a phone card. He lost his life. And a woman was in there. It was a Somali woman. And the ones that did it was Muslims and Somalis. What did he do? He aimed the gun on her. The only thing stopped him was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what she said to him in their language? She said to him, I am your mother. Would you kill your mother? And she said it to him again, I am your mother. She said, she was crying. She said, I'm your mother. Would you slay and kill your mother? And just for a moment, he had a moment of clarity. He turned and went out of the store. He went out, but he came back and made sure the other person was dead because he saw him move and shot him again. This is Muslim. A'udhu billah. We must come together to preserve the collective dignity of Muslims, the collective voice of Muslim, the collective vision of Muslim. And finally, we must come together to preserve the collective freedom of Muslims. What do I mean, the collective freedom? We must come together to preserve the collective freedom of Muslims that's being hijacked by the society of capitalistic thieves, robbers, liars, and false journalism, by the media with its sensational and false reporting, particularly when it comes to Islam. How did this happen? It happened because we as Muslim leaders left or forget our collective responsibility and the collective mission of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and fell asleep, got lazy, or got distracted, walked away from our duties of dawah. Yes, walked away from it, attracted to the dunya. And Allah tells us in the Quran and warns us. Allah says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, batuthiruna hayata dunya wal akhiratu khairun wa abqa." Allah says, you love the life of this world when the hereafter is better for you and more lasting. Alhamdulillah. And we left the dawah and left the sheep unguarded. Our youth are like sheep, and the wolves and hyenas are having a feast. Dear brothers and sisters, raising Muslim children is a serious collective responsibility. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam aptly described its responsibility is that of a shepherd. Just as a shepherd must be alert of the well-being of his flock. Thank you, brother. We as parents, imams, da'is, collective community leaders, we must be constantly alert that the Muslim youth don't stray far and fall victim to the wolves and hyena of this society. For example, and I want you to take note, the top offenses in the American public school during the 1940s. Now, I wasn't back there in the 1940s. I know y'all think I'm old, but I was born in 1953. Okay? But the top offenses in the public schools during the 1940s reported was running in the hallways, was chewing gum and making noise. That was the top offenses in America in the 1940s. While today, theft, bullying, burglary, drugs, arson, vandalism, cursing, gangbanging, fights, assaults, robbery, murder, and suicide pacts is the order of the day. Be careful. Look at our Muslim children where they're at in a toxic environment. Youth coming together, calling each other, getting on the internet and saying, I'm going to kill myself tonight. What about you? Oh, when you doing it? At 10 o'clock, typing it in. And then the other youth connects with that other youth. And then they meet. Well, let's do it together and hold hands while we're doing it. Let's wait till the comet that's coming across the sky at a certain time. Let us all do it when the comet, and maybe the comet could take us to some cosmetic place. This has happened. Look how people going up to school shooting other youth. Dear brothers and sisters, we all live and work and go to school in an insidious society that produces insidious behavior and manners. Insidious means something that happens slowly without notice but causes great harm. That's what the word insidious means. This is not just a concern for Muslim parents, but now the American public, the American parents are also concerned about the direction that society is leading their children. They are also realizing that they need to return to moral values and family values. The average American family realizes this. They're coming into this awareness. So, in my conclusion, we'll have a little Q&A maybe. I'm asking the sheikhs, imam, parents, and teachers. Our Muslim youth are crying out like a baby cut from the womb of its mother. In the womb, it was safe. The intertwined muscles of the womb was like blankets and sheets that the baby nestled in, that restricted its movement. Many of us have seen a woman and she's pregnant, and you know, all of a sudden you touch her stomach, the father, the son, touch the mother's stomach, and all of a sudden she said, touch here, and you feel that baby foot, right? She said, feel here, right? But can that baby come out? No. It's nestled in that bubble of intertwined muscles. All its need and everything is taken care of. It's nestled in there. It's protected. But now, the baby is on the outside of the womb of the mother. And the intertwined muscles that protected the baby and restricted the baby movement are removed. And now the baby has all this new freedom. No restriction. And some of you who are mothers here, are future mothers, let me just caution you what's going to happen. For those who are mothers, you know what I'm talking about. That baby, when it was in the womb, it was quiet, it tried to get out, it came out when it's supposed to. But now when it comes out, right, what do the nurses do in the hospital? If they have any nurse here, they'll bear witness. I went in the hospital when my wife had a baby, and I saw that the baby was put real tight with blankets. I mean, it's like they're like this. And I said to myself, hey, that baby's uncomfortable like that. That's too tight. But guess what? No, it's not. The baby is used to being restricted. His movement is restricted. It can't go over. So they were simulating what was happening in the movement, particularly with premature babies. They put them in an incubator to emulate the life of the womb. So the baby's in a restricted mode, right? Real tight and snuggled. But after a period of time, it has to come out of that incubator. It has to come out of the womb. And when it comes out of the womb, it's on the outside of the womb of its mother, and the intertwined muscles that protected that baby once and restricted that baby movements are removed. Now the baby has all this new freedom and no restriction. Watch the baby. The baby got more sense than us. It all of a sudden, it's like this, and now when it moves its arm, it don't feel nothing stopping it. The intertwined muscle's not there, then the baby arm fly like this. And all of a sudden the baby hand come in front of his own face. Ah! The baby's scared of his own hand, his own foot, his own finger, his own thumb. Why? Because he says nothing is blocking here. And then the baby go to crying. Why? Because there's too much freedom. Too much freedom for the baby. This is a lesson for us as parents. The baby saying, hey, help. There's too much freedom. Where's the blanket? Where's the sheet? And a good mother, what does? She runs to her baby and says, I'm here to help you deal with all this freedom. She is the sheets and blankets for her baby on the outside of the womb. This is the same situation that have happened to the Muslim youth. Exactly the same thing. If you follow what I said, I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to dot the I's and cross the T's. They have been cut out of the wombs of Islam. And the sheets and blankets that kept them safe and secure have been removed. What's been removed? The sheets and the blankets. What are the sheets and the blankets? The sheets and the blankets are taqwa and iman. These are the sheets and blankets for our Muslim youth. So now we see the Muslim youth is acting out in the street. He's acting out in the homes. She's acting out in the schools. She's acting out in the madrasas. She's acting out in the Quran classes. She's acting out, he's acting out in the duksi. He's acting out in the masjid. But are they really acting out? Let's ask that question again. Are they really acting out? No. They are really crying out for help. Saying, help me. I can't deal with all this freedom. Please put back the sheets and blankets of taqwa and iman. When you see your son and daughter doing crazy stuff, it's an expression that all of a sudden they're wearing Gothic clothing. How many of you have seen the Gothic look? Dark, that's darkness. Then they got bone in their nose, got earrings that cause their ears to hang down and look weird, right? And then they got their hair all moosed up, right? It's because they don't know how to deal with all this freedom. So the freedom has made them crazy because they're in a toxic environment. So we as Muslims, when we see our youth like that, we have to put the sheets and blankets back around that baby. The baby is the Muslim youth. And what is the sheets and blankets? Taqwa and Iman. This is where you and I have to know how to give dawah to your sons and daughters. And I'm going to say something to you. For those of you who are immigrant Muslims, you should listen more to the Muslims that are born from this country. You should listen to us more. How many of you are from Egypt? Raise your hand. How many of you are from Pakistan? Raise your hand. How many of you are of Palestinian origin? How many of you are from Somalia? Okay. How many of you are Romo? How many of you are from Saudi Arabia? I'm here to tell you, you need to take a lesson from the indigenous Muslim that was born and raised here, from us, because you do not know how to navigate in this environment, because it's a toxic environment. Sheikh Jami is here. He's been here a long time. He's a GPS for you. And I'm not being arrogant, it's GPS. Abdul Salam from New York, GPS. Abu Bakr, born in GPS. What is a GPS? A GPS helps you how to get to one destination to another. For you, you're from Somalia. If I ask you, I want to go to Djibouti. Okay, you know what Djibouti is at, right? Right away he said, yes. Okay, now you know there's a lot of stuff happening in Somalia. You know how to probably show me how to get there safe, right? Now, what I look like, where you from? Here. How would I like this? Brother, I'm going to Djibouti. Well, he going to map like that. Well, okay, I think East Africa is over here, and here's Djibouti, and I'm gonna get hurt. Because he don't have the right navigational tools. So if I was in Somalia, if I was in Egypt, if I was in Pakistan, if I was in India, if I was in Saudi Arabia, I wouldn't ask a person that's from America. I would ask a person that's the indigenous people from that land how to get there, and he would show me how to get there. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put your brothers and sisters in front of you, and you are not utilizing them. Many of us you're not utilizing, because part of it is our ego and our arrogance. Oh, brother, we are not. Yes, it is. He knows little Islam. I was born Muslim, raised Muslim. He can't even say Al-Fatiha right. A'udhu billah. But Allah has blessed us with something unique. African American people, we've been here 400 years. Many of us came from West Africa. They stripped us. Shaitan, the taxidermist, stripped everything out of us. In a period of 400 years, African American people did not have no religion, no culture, no nothing. And that's why when you see them walking down the street, I got to demonstrate. You know, we got to get real here. You see my people, we're walking like this. Yo, what's up? Yo, what's up, nigga? That's how they walking. And they got their hat on backwards. Yo, what's up? Feel me, dog? Right? That's how they walking. Yo, what's up? Some of the Muslim youth sitting here talk like that right now when they're not here. What's up, my nigga? Oh, brother, you said that. That's what you're saying outside. This is a conversation for a mature audience. This is a mature conversation with you. A realistic conversation. This is a wake-up call. And the one that can navigate you through that is the indigenous people that's from here. It's us. Because I came from this. Sheikh Jami came from this. Abu Bakr came from this. My son came from that. So you need to take a lesson and listen to us as your brothers in Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La yu'minu ahadukum hatta akihi ma yuhibbu nafsihi." He said, none of you truly believe in Allah on the last day till you love for your brothers and sisters what you love for yourself. In Islam, knowledge is invisible. So let's give up. So let's continue. So there's a few questions in a few minutes. Maybe we can entertain that and end this. So let me say this and end. So let's never give up the collective unity as Muslim. This is our strength. Let's never give up our collective leadership as Muslim. This will lead us to the future. Let's never give up our right for collective freedom. We must continue to fight for it. Because if we don't, Palestine will never be free. Gaza will never be free. And the people of Palestine won't be free. And Jerusalem will never be free and accessible to Muslims if we give up our collective freedom. And it won't be long before our individual freedom, if we don't come collectively to fight for the collective freedom, will be taken away from us. Right now. Why? Because to wear the Islamic clothing will be taken from us. Will be taken totally away. And that's happening now. As well as the freedom to travel. All that's happening now. And our mouths are like this. Why? Because we don't have a collective voice. We're speaking out as individuals. So dear Muslims, stay in the struggle for collective freedom. Support. Maybe, now I might be wrong for saying this, I'm not endorsing, but the group CARE. Look, when we won't even they send the flyers to help them, you know. We don't respect them till one of our sons and daughters get locked up. Then here we go. CARE is helping us, what happened? Any Muslim organization that's sincere trying to help the Muslims, we should help. But we need to have a collective voice. That's the problem. We come to the masjid, and you know how we come together collectively? On the fourth Sunday, perhaps. Bring food of different cultures. And everybody's coming to eat. Oh, we'll come to eat. We're going to have some busos. We're going to have some okra. Right? Or we're going to have some other food, other culture food. African American, some fried chicken. You know, some cornbread. You know, we come together for that. But get us to come together for some serious thought of how we're going to save and empower our Muslim youth. Look how many people we have here to listen. So let's protect our collective freedom. Let's never ever stop working to have a collective voice. This is what's absent among the Muslims. The gays. How do you think they got their bills passed? You know what they did? In the 60s and 70s, Sheikh Jami is here. Ask them what they did. They was in the closet. They called them closet. The person wouldn't come out and say I'm a homosexual. Well, we used to call them something else, but I want to keep the language sort of clean. We should call them, well, anyway, we'll leave that. But what did they used to do? They used to be in the closet. Then they'd come out, I'm a sissy or whatever they call themselves. Right? But by the 70s and 80s, what did they do? They came together collectively. They merged together. Remember the word merge? And they became a single entity. And now they have a voice in Congress. Now they have the voice and support of the President of the United States. A'udhu billah. They have a voice. Why? Because they came together collectively. Homosexuals. Men that's sleeping with men. Women that's sleeping with women. They had enough sense to come together collectively. And now they're kissing each other in public. A man taking his tongue, sticking it down the throat of another man. A'udhu billah. And we're standing by and just saying, Astaghfirullah Azim. We're not even learning a lesson to come together. So we need a collective voice that all Muslim youth will respond to. If the Muslim youth were to see the elders and the teachers from Somalia, from Egypt, from the Caucasian Muslim, the African American Muslim, and the Puerto Rican Muslim, all of us come together and work on a solution to save them, and the Muslim youth, you know what they say? And we have a collective voice, you know what would happen? Let me say this and sit down. The media and the society will respect us, and the media will think twice before they would make negative comments about us as Muslims. And last but certainly not least, let's remind each other of our collective responsibility to save and empower our Muslim youth. Be ready when the time comes for them to step up and take an active leadership role. We have a responsibility. How many of you have sons? How many of you have daughters? Okay, I just recently, have a little baby now. And I'm 57, but she's 15 months. Her name is Maryam. What is her future in Islam, in this country? Is she going to learn the Quran? Is she going to fear Allah? Is she going to cover when she get a certain age? And some of the faults of some of you parents, you cover your daughters, you start covering them when they reach puberty. It's too late. They don't want that dress. I ain't wearing that. I want to look like a ninja. That's what they say. I'm not going to look like a ninja. So we're going to conclude. So if we want to save them, we got to start when they're babies. And I want to give you a lesson that I saw right in front of my eyes. My Sheikh Khalid Amin, alhamdulillah, make dua for him in Medina. I saw him raise his sons, Abu Bakr, and I know you don't like me saying this, but Abu Bakr, I saw Harun, and I saw his other brother Abdullah when they was babies. And I said this before. Once Sheikh Khalid came and lived in Florida. He stayed with me for a while. We was very close, and he got his own place. He was coming from Texas, started his family, him and his wife. And his brother was maybe a year old or so. And he's walking across the porch with his diapers on. And his father was sitting down reading the Quran, you know. And he's just reading the Quran. And all of a sudden he had a stick in his hand. So his son walked past him in diapers, and he took the stick and said, "Wow!" And he said, "Uskut, Isn't I didn't understand that then, but I think one means to sit down, other and be quiet. And then I said, "Why are you doing this to this child?" I said, "You don't understand the Quran?" He said, "He understands better than what you think." I'll never forget that. And wallahi azim, that same son that he did that to lives in the city of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and is in the master's program in Medina, has been accepted and is studying the master program. He has his bachelor's degree already. This is raising children Islamically. So maybe one day he'll come here and be able to give more knowledge to us. This is the hope for our children. So I want to leave you with two verses from the Quran. Allah says, "Let there arise out of you a band of people, inviting to all that is good, enjoining what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. They are the ones to attain felicity." And then Allah says, "Be not like those who are divided among themselves and fall into disputation after receiving clear signs, for them is a dreadful penalty." So Allah is telling us to stay united. And I want to conclude with this. In Minnesota, one thing I do like about Minnesota, out of the 200,000 Muslims, particularly from Somalia and Aroma, mainly from Somalia, they have halakas every weekend. I'm not joking. If you're a practicing Muslim, you putting on your kameez because you're going to a halakah. They have halakas packed with people that are sitting under different sheikhs. Every masjid, whether they're Muslim from Somalia, whether they're sitting under Sheikh Wali Idris, whether they're sitting under another sheikh, all over Minnesota, they're sitting and studying and trying to increase. The sheikhs, I will give them credit on that. So my job for them, I am actually a paramedic by trade. I don't know if anybody of y'all knew that I was a paramedic. I mean, Abu Bakr looking at me, "Oh, what is he talking about, Uncle Neelain? What do you mean?" I'm a paramedic. What is the job of a paramedic? And I've been well trained. I have a master's degree in it. A paramedic is one who goes out and see the person in the street. He gets the call. It's an emergency, right? Person bleeding, been shot, been stabbed, whatever, they fell out, right? He's unconscious. And his job is go to see if he can assist and help that person. And if the vital signs are there, he checks the vital signs and says, "Oh, it's hope for this person." He puts him where? He puts him in the ambulance and he rushes him to the hospital, right? That's my job. I'm a paramedic. I'm a Muslim paramedic. My job is to go outside the masjid and see the Muslim youth, because I know about falling. I wasn't always a strong Muslim. But to see the Muslim youth and see that he's falling down and check his vital signs. How do I check his vital signs? Oh, he don't come to halakas. Okay, he been using this type of drug. I can tell right away because I'm an ex-drug addict. Oh, he been using this, he been using that. Okay, he don't give a sadaqah. He don't do this, he don't do that. He don't fast during Ramadan. He's not trying to make hajj. Okay, once I check the vital signs, I know what hospital to send him to. And I send him to the hospital. What is the hospital? The masjids of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who are the doctors? The sheikhs and the imams who have the right medicine. What is the medicine? The Quran and the rich verses to reach them. And then after that they need counseling. Who they need counseling from? They need counseling for what happened to them from people like myself, Sheikh Jami, who's from this environment, to show them and wake them up and tell them how to avoid those traps. So may Allah bless you and protect you and guide you. If there's any question about the Nation of Islam, what are things I've said, if you have any question or comment, please take a minute or so, and I hope you do entertain some questions about that. We'll open the floor for that for 5. How many minutes we got, Rebecca?
About 10.
About 10 minutes. Anyone have any question? Yes.
You talked about trying to establish programs and encouraging collective unity. What kind of activities would you suggest?
Well, what we do in Minnesota, number one, under Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as you know, the masjid was everything. What I do find in Minnesota, and this is a unique situation I find that the Muslims there, one thing, the masjid to the Muslim, the immigrant Muslims in particular, from Somalia, one thing, the masjid is everything for them. Wallahi. I noticed this characteristic, that they come to the masjid for everything. So I was teaching martial art there. Now I can't play basketball that well. So we have clean sports and activities that's monitored. We have to have activity, because you're not going to get just Muslim who come here just to hear a talk. Unless you give a talk, and I'm going to say this. Most of the Muslim youth that's in Minnesota, the sheikhs can come and give a talk in their language. Many of them won't come out. They want to hear it. They don't even want to hear their language anymore. They want to hear it in English. The other thing is, the people, the immigrant Muslims, got to understand the dynamics that are working here, that where the youth are pushing away from them. Traditionally, what I did find, they're very much connected family-wise. I respect this. And by the way, my wife is from Somalia, so I can talk. So I'm your brother-in-law anyway. Just let you know I'm your brother-in-law. Okay, so feel me? But what I'm trying to say, so I see this cohesiveness that they do have. So what I always wanted to do, and I'm answering your question this way, when I was in the Nation of Islam, they had on the top of their paper, Sheikh Jami knows about this, and those of us, y'all not young, and my son, he really don't know about it. And it had on them shaking hands across the water. Is that right, Sheikh Jami? And it showed them from America, Asia, and Africa. I always wanted to have that African link, because that was taken away from me. And when I got an opportunity to work among the Muslims from Somalia, this was my link. This was my calling, my niche. If you go to Minnesota, from Cedar, haven't heard of Cedar Riverside? Cedar Riverside, all the way to St. Paul, Masjid Abu Bakr Siddiq, Masjid Dawah, Masjid Huda, any of the masjid, they know me. I have a connection with them. So the answer to your question is this way, that you have to have activity, and you got to realize some of the things that the youth are interested in. And you got to find, now if you want to condemn them for listening to Lil Wayne, listening to, did you raise your hand? Oh, I thought you said right on. Oh, okay. About Lil Wayne and these other people and Lady Gaga, a'udhu billah. How could a Muslim woman even say on Facebook, I like Lady Gaga? With a name like that, Gaga. They fall in love with these kafirs. Drake, the singer. Okay? If we want to get our youth from them, if you just go and condemn them, you need to stop this, blah, 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 and just chase them away, you're not going to reach them. You got to relate to them. You got to substitute it with something. And you might not like it. Now, I'm not saying that we should endorse some nasheeds, because scholars have different opinion on that, and that's not my area of fiqh. But what I'm saying, when they come to the masjid, we must have a wholesome activity. We must have things that the youth can get involved in wholesome. And another thing, we must marry our youth, whether you like it or not, some of them young. Brother, what you talking about? Marry my daughter young. Yes, if not, your daughter going to go to school, Bubba's going to be talking to her, and everybody else going to be talking to her. And when I lived in Saudi Arabia, I used to look at the Saudi Gazette. Every day I used to read it. They had in their marriage, I want $10,000 for my wife. For my daughter. She's Pakistani, and $10,000 dowry and a new car. All this crazy stuff to marry, and you must have a doctor's degree because she's a doctor. What they got to do with it? The Prophet ﷺ, a man came once and he had an iron ring. And the Prophet said, give it to her as you die. Another man came, he only knew a few verses of Quran. He gave her that. Today, you go to say, a brother come to your house, he's good in Iman and everything, you know, and he says, well, what are you going to give my daughter? I have a few dollars and I know Surah Al-Baqarah. You say, A'udhu Billah. Get away from me. Get away from me. Kuramante. You chase him away. He's finished. Get away from me. You don't want to hear that. What happened to that? We don't live in those days and time anymore. He must have a lot of money. And then, what blocks it? Look, we're sitting here together, right? African American, Egyptian, Somali, from Egypt, right? We all agreeing with each other until it comes to marrying your daughters. Then everything changes. I say, I have a son. He needs to get, by the way, he does need to get married. But I have a son, he needs a wife, right? You be like, I can help you. I can help you. My brother told me one time, a sheikh told me, he said, you're looking for a wife, I help you. I know a good African American sister. I said, brother, she can just be Muslim. It makes no difference. Look what and to conclude, look what the announcer, what the Prophet did. Look who he married. He married a woman named Safiya. Somebody tell me where she came from. Safiya. What was she when he married? Safiya. She's from the Jewish. And when he married her, how did he marry her? She was standing in mud because they just had conquered her people. And the Sahabas were fighting over why? Because she was very beautiful. She had green eyes, very beautiful, right? The Prophet walked up and said, was he lusting? He said, he'd take her. And they stepped away from her. And she would not have a relationship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam right away. The Prophet wanted to have a relationship with her. She refused the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when they went farther away, then they combed their hair, made her presentable. She told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do not think I didn't want to be with you, but I knew my people was pursuing you and I was scared they would harm you. And then they consummated the marriage. The Prophet married a Jewish woman, but what she did, she took her shahada. For some of us as Muslims, some of us are going out, young brothers, and marrying these Kafir girls. Shame on you. Muslim girls, we should take first. A believing slave is better than a disbeliever. But you brothers got to give up your daughters. Straight like that. And I'm going to say this. When I got married, I know the fitna. My wife is 27. What? Yes, she's 27. I didn't go looking for her. Alhamdulillah, things fell into place at the masjid. And 4 days before we got married, her tribe came and took her away from me. 4 days before we got married, we had a big wedding, they took her and kidnapped her and said, you would never marry her. I said, what have I done to earn this wrath from you? They said, I said, my reputation is intact. We don't care nothing about your reputation. You will not marry her. And the ex-husband of her called the sheikh and told him he was still married to her. He hadn't been with her in over 2 years. He was lying. So this sheikh named Sheikh Hassan, he said, brother, he said, I don't know what to say, but we're going to help you. I was heartbroken 4 days before I was about to get married. And I was on the pity pot. I was a pitiful looking person. But I made dua to Allah. And I had made umrah. And on my way to making umrah and coming back, I was making dua. And Allah answered my dua. And what happened? We did get married. It wasn't a big nikah. It was a small one. And they went crazy. I was getting calls. You forced her, you this and that. I never said nothing ugly to them. And Ramadan came a year later. Wallahi, in the name of Allah, I got a phone call. And the main one, her sister, who was like the head of the women's tribe, whatever, she was crying. She said, Sheikh Neelain, I'm so sorry the way I talk to you. I see the children, they look healthier. I see my sister, she's vibrant. She said, may Allah forgive me. And I swear by Allah, it's been 2 years, going on 3, me and my sister, and I guess the makeup of the tribe, and the mother that's living in Somalia, Sister Maryam, make dua for her and the people in Somalia that are suffering there. She called me, and she can't speak no English. So you know what we say? She go like this. She's on the phone. I said, Mega ah, and she says, Maryam, you know, and she says, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Neelain. That's all we say. I said, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And that's it. And she loved me. Her wife told me she loved me for the sake of Allah. And now we're like this. So sometimes you have to be patient, but this must end. If we're going to save and preserve our Muslim youth, it can't be based on color. It cannot be based on race and ethnicity. Right now, we're in dire straits, but we need to save ourselves and our youth. Are there anyone? I'll take two more questions quickly. Anyone else have a question? Nation of Islam, anything?
I have a couple of comments for you.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Listen.
You know, you said a good point about marrying the young kids.
Yes.
And I strongly support that.
Yes.
That if I have the mean of money,
Yes.
I would marry every young man in this community. I'll tell you why. And this is not to offend any of the brothers or the county we live in.
Yes.
As of yesterday's, according to the Arbor newspaper, we have in the Washington community or the Washington County the highest rate of STDs. Okay, that's coming up because of the freedom, because of the open culture and everything. You know, that's one opinion that the parents should really put on consideration. You know, focus on the children education, obtain a good job and everything, but at the same time find a suitable Muslim, okay, and marry. That will eliminate lots of the issue, and that will foster a more healthy environment in our community.
Yes.
I was reading the newspaper, I was really shocked. You know, one issue. You talk about marrying a Muslim sister first. Absolutely 100%. But even mine sometimes, and I'm talking from personal experience,
Yes.
some of the parents, some, not all of them,
Yes.
no way. That will lead the individual, okay, to go and seek other alternative. You know, so the family have to be more flexible. They have to look for iman of the person, akhlaq of the person,
Yes.
the value, the principles. I believe that will foster lots of unity among the Muslims.
Yes.
You know, but when the family refuse, sadly, some of the brothers have no other alternative. You know, free
Yes.
mahr and a free woman is available.
And we force our children into zina. Brother can't get married, you know, he's looking like this. And then the worst thing you can do, and you need to cut out watching so much TV. Wallahi Azim. You need to keep the remote in your hand. And for the little children, like my little grandson, I wish more was here, maybe some here. I meant to tell you, I hate to expose who I am. I'm a superhero. And I'm here to save you from SpongeBob SquarePants and Tom and Jerry. Some of these cartoons, they done a survey, a study on SpongeBob, and how the brain, after seeing it for so long, they tested the kids in math and other things, and they failed miserably. Be careful how much cartoons and what cartoons they're watching. What they call it, Family Guy. Yeah. That is the most filthiest thing. I don't know if they have South Park no more. And then they used to have a show, Sheikh Jamie probably remember this, they used to have a show in the 80s and 90s called, not a cartoon, it's called, Al Bundy used to be in it.
Married with Children.
Married with Children. The most stupidest show on earth. And then some of your kids that your parents, that your children watch The Simpsons. Bart Simpson. Be careful what your children watch. I'm very particular in my house. And one last thing. Watch what you eat. Imam Shafi, rahimahullah, he was very strict in the salat and fiqh, very strict. The sheikh I was sitting under, he used to teach us, very strict in salat and very strict what he ate. You shouldn't just eat from any place. Myself, I don't eat from, this is me, I don't eat from Burger King, I don't eat from Taco Bell, I don't eat from McDonald's, because that's dog food, I don't eat from other places, I don't eat from none of those places. And I got the dalil and proof in books that this is halal, this is haram, so you can ask about bread and everything. You should know this. You shouldn't assume that, oh, this is all right to eat, you know, because it says, because it's a burger and it's beef. No, we can't judge it like that. So be careful. This is just myself. I'm very strict how I eat. Another thing, we should fast on Mondays and Thursdays. You young brothers who have this desire for a woman, a wife, and sister, the same thing, you should fast on Mondays and Thursdays. You should find the days that you should fast after Abu Bakr and fast more often. My wife and I, we're a team. We fast together. I feel so bad if I'm fasting on Monday, maybe her period comes, she can't fast. I said, why you can't fast? Oh, man, I got to do this by myself, And when Ramadan came, we was getting our fast on, and we was getting up making Qiyamah lay. We was getting up together. I was beating her, and then sometimes she beat me up. You know how you throw water in each other's face? But we was wilding out. She'd throw up a sprinkler, I'd throw a bucket. Boom. Say, let's go. And we're making Qiyamah lay together. This, when the children see this in the house, I have a stepson, Muhammad, he is 7, and a stepdaughter, Munira, she's 4, and I have a baby 15 months. Wallahi azim. My daughter that's 15 months, you know what she does when she sees us lining up? She doing like this. And I swear by Allah, she does this. When she sees, not with both hands, because this is incorrect. She's doing like this. Making her dhikr. Why? Because she sees us practicing in the house. So a good wife can really increase you in iman. And a good brother can also increase you in iman. So I think our time is up. Our time is up. So I hope to come here again maybe another time. I think my nephew Abu Bakr and the community here, may Allah increase y'all in iman, may He increase you in taqwa, and may He preserve and protect our Muslim youth. And may He also empower our Muslim youth. Work close with the dawah team, those who go to the prison. Try to become actively involved. A Muslim must be actively involved. And one last thing, I got to say this. I was on the plane flying here. I met a model on the plane, a Caucasian model on the plane, and she was sitting right next to me, like this. You know what I was, I'm poor, I'm not poor, I'm poor. And I'm sitting in the economy seat, so she's sitting right here. And make a long story short, she asked me about Islam, I gave her dawah, and guess what she pulled out of her bag? She said, well, I have a Turkish friend, I knew they was men. She pulled out a bag and had these things with eyes on it. She said, do you know about the evil eye? I said, A'udhu Billah. I said, yes. I said, what is that you have? She said, my Turkish Muslim, she said, they said this would protect me. I said, A'udhu Billah, that's not going to protect you. I said, Rasulullah spoke against that. And then I said, she said, well, they're Muslim. I said, they're practicing Muslim. I said, have you ever seen them pray? She said, no. I said, have you ever seen them fast? She said, no. And I said, do they drink? Do they smoke? Do they get? She said, they party. One is my boyfriend. So we have to be careful of the dawah we give. May Allah forgive them. So we want to end. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam wa safil anbiya wa muslimin Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.